my last 10 bucks. God will provide. So a stronghold can be an area where we don't have faith. A stronghold can also be an area of our life where we make excuses. Right? Because there's this mentality that can God really change me? Can God really change what I do in my life? Is it possible for God? Is the gospel enough to change a person? Well, I wrote down some of the ones that came to my mind. Okay, this only took me a couple minutes to do. These are things that either I've heard in the past or I've heard other people say. My parents are overweight, therefore that's why I'm overweight. I come from a family of procrastinators. Some of these are, out of those two, which one do you think fits me?
First one.
I know, I'm trying to lose a few. Now, these are reasons or excuses. I wrote something. Okay, these are reasons or excuses. See, I get into problems when I write notes for myself. It always bites me. All right? These are reasons or excuses. Now, let me back up, because I wrote something else here. All right, what is an excuse? All right? Now, we're talking about freedom, walking in God's freedom. And we're talking about how some people cannot be free. I'm talking about Christians now. We expect a heathen to act like a heathen, right? But not a believer. Now, one synonym of excuse is to rationalize. And I wrote this down. Here's the definition of to rationalize. It's an attempt to explain. I mean, when I read this, it clicked, because it was what I kind of wrote down in my own thoughts. It says it's an attempt to explain or justify one's own or another's behavior or attitude with logical, plausible, I mean, like, it could happen, plausible reasons, even if they are not true or appropriate. All right? Think about that. It's an attempt to explain or justify your behavior with logical reasons. Because when you are not when you're moving in an area maybe of darkness or an area of error, your conscience has to be quieted somehow, right? Have you ever heard David said in the Psalms, he said a lot of things. He said something about, I cannot rest until I confess my sin. Anybody? Maybe that clicks with somebody. I'm paraphrasing it. He could not rest until he confessed his sin. God gave us a conscience, and He also gave us the Holy Spirit. And sometimes you're just not in rest. So if you're doing or involved in something that's an area of darkness, error, or it's a lie, somehow you've got to quiet that. So what we do is we rationalize. Right? Now, I took psychology, and I remember this from psychology. Rationalization was a defense mechanism. That means we got to guard this heart of ours. Nobody wants to be hurt. Nobody. So we guard it in different ways. Well, a defense mechanism, it says here, feelings are explained in a rational or a logical manner to avoid the true explanation. We don't want to face the truth. You can't handle the truth. If we face the truth, that might mean we have to say something else. Those hardest words to say in the English language. I was wrong. I'm wrong. Boy, that is so hard to say. Have you ever tried to say you're sorry to your child? That's one of the hardest. The other day I had to do it. I didn't get all the facts. I didn't have all the truth. I just went in, I just heard a commotion, and I went in ready to mete out justice. I didn't care who was right, who was wrong. I just wanted to bring somebody down. But that was the truth. Sometimes I just go into a room and I got my belt and it's just swinging. Does that shock you? It's kind of almost somewhat of a joke. I wish my boys were in here. If there's anybody here from social services? That's a joke. But sometimes I start to swing and I ask questions later. Because if I'm annoyed or if we're in a rush, we were in a rush. We had somewhere to go important. Where was that? Rehearsal dinner. That's important. That's worth taking the meat off somebody's back for. And once I heard the truth, I thought, okay. You know, and one side did not reveal some pertinent facts. One side did not tell me some of these facts. He was just sitting there, get him, Daddy. And once I learned the truth, all of a sudden, the Holy Spirit began to speak to me. He does that. And it's almost like, what are you going to do now? Brother Dan. My son. What are you going to do now? And I thought, you know, I got to do something. You see, all of a sudden, I had what many people have. And it's the reason that 90% of people go to psychologists. Because they have a guilt issue. They don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to deal with it. And humanity has it. So I could have just all of a sudden justified myself. I could have said, you know what? He's going to do something wrong later anyway. I'm just giving him what I would give him later on. I could say, he probably was in error anyway, so he deserved it. Now, what am I doing? I'm rationalizing. I'm justifying. There's several words for it. I'm making an excuse, right? Because the truth is, I was wrong. The truth is, I should go and ask for forgiveness. Well, ask forgiveness of a boy, of a child? Absolutely. So, I went in there and I said, son, forgive me. You know, I acted wrong. That was hard to do. You know, you might go around with the SS on your shirt, super saint, super Christian. I tell you, you get to a place where you have to humble yourself. When you've acknowledged the truth, and you have to humble yourself. See, and the truth doesn't always mean right. Sometimes you can be right, but not be right. You got a tractor trailer coming to a T across, you know, T in the road, not a T, but a, what do they call that? Intersection? Four-way, like a four-way stop. But they have the stop signs, you know. He has to stop. So you're driving along and he's not stopping. That tractor trailer's not stopping. You could say in your indignation, I have the right of way here. He better stop. That 18-wheeler better stop. Boy, he's not stopping. Oh well, I'm right. Is that you, Jesus? Jesus, I was right, wasn't I? Well, he was dead wrong. Right? He was dead wrong. God's concerned about the truth. I wasn't the one who offended that person. They offended me. I'm not going to say anything to them. Well, you might be right. But what's the truth? What's the truth in the matter? You see, if we don't walk in truth, we will walk in lie. Just like I've given the example before, when you put your hand down into a pitcher of water, your hand replaces that water. There's some sort of Newton principle that two things of matter cannot... Nathan? Look at me. Right? Two things of matter cannot be in the same place at the same time. I can't be here and in Pittsburgh right now. When you when you withdraw truth, error fills in.